Google just announced a new AI model that is capable of running on one single GPU. Not only can it run in one single GPU, it's also one of the most effective models out there, even outperforming in efficiency some of the Deepseek models. And remember, Deepseek was this whole bearish case for Nvidia. Now, is this going to be another Deepseek moment for Nvidia's stock price? Too long, don't watch. In today's episode, I want to do the following. First, I want to take a closer look at all these AI solutions that Google just announced. There was a new AI model and something in the robotics space as well. But at the end of this episode, I also want to take a closer look at why investors of NVIDIA should not worry that AI is getting cheaper. This is actually something that Jensen Huang wants to happen because it's going to create something called AI factories. And by the end of this episode, you'll know why we want AI factories, why NVIDIA wants AI factories, and why we want AI to get ridiculously cheap. So let's get a closer look. But before we go any further, make sure to check out my free daily semiconductor newsletter, whatthechip.com. Link is down below.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right, so first, just a quick look at Google stock. The stock is sitting right now at $169. Year to date, the stock is down roughly 11%. And from its overall 52-week high, the stock is down roughly 18. Now, with Google, there has been a lot of uncertainty, especially with all these kind of discussions of split up with the government. And that's creating the mass kind of uncertainty for stock investors. Now, if I had to choose my number one Max 7 and I couldn't choose NVIDIA, I would have to say Google. All right, so the first thing I want to take a closer look at is this new AI model. And Google Alphabet is definitely a key player here in the AI space, even though I do believe it gets ignored. So today they did introduce Gemma 3, the most capable model you can run on a single GPU or TPU. So Google has two kind of main model parties. They have Gemini, which is kind of their internal solutions and which what they use to kind of power their main products. Then they have Gemma 3, which is a collection of lightweight, state-of-the-art open models built from the same research and technology that powers Gemini 2.0. So these are just smaller versions of those. Now, the great thing about this is Gemma 3 delivers state-of-the-art performance for its size, outperforming Llama 405, Deepseek V3, and O3 Mini in preliminary human evaluations on language model Arena's leaderboard. And here we can see this chart that ranks AI models by chatbots in this Arena Elo scores. Higher scores equal the top are the topper numbers and indicate greater user preference. And then on the bottom, we can see kind of the dots, and these dots show estimated NVIDIA H100 GPU requirements. Gemma 3 with 27 billion ranks highly, and it only requires a single GPU, despite others needing up to 32, right? We can see Deepseek R1 here, and even Deepseek V3, and it's not much underperforming to Deepseek R1, and is pretty much outperforming like we saw O3 Mini, Llama, Mistral, and some of the other players out there. So the first thing is we can see, and Google is really fighting for not only great performance and scores based on kind of some of these human scores and preferences, but it's also doing it at a way cheaper price point. Now, NVIDIA has directly optimized Gemma 3 models to ensure that you get maximum performance on GPUs of any size, from Jetson Nano to the latest Blackwell chips. Gemma 3 is now featured on the NVIDIA API catalog. So obviously, many people might saying, hey, look, this is going to be very bad news for NVIDIA, as this is going to be so cheap for AI and is going to reduce the demand for their AI capacity. So like I mentioned, I'll talk about that a little bit more. But overall, first, if you are a Google shareholder, this kind of just showcases how strong this company is in the AI race. Now, if you want more kind of evidence that Google and DeepMind are pretty much some top players here in the AI market, Gemini also brings Gemini robotics, which brings AI into the physical world. And remember, if you are an NVIDIA shareholder, we have been talking about physical AI. NVIDIA has kind of their Cosmo to be able to train a lot of these foundational models that we're going to start seeing here very similar to what Google is doing right now. But we are seeing that AI is now making its way into the physical world. And it's no longer just like an NVIDIA hold, right? We're starting to see more and more players. So introducing Gemini Robotics, which is their Gemini 2.0 based model designed for robotics. And they are introducing a few models overall. And I'm not going to read this, as this is obviously going to provide a lot and a lot of maybe technical aspects. But overall, and Google is using what they've done with Gemini 2.0 and kind of created a foundational model in the back end there to help with the new generation of helpful robots. And the thing is, remember, robots right now are pretty much a single task, right? You kind of just have a robot doing one task, and that one task is something that was pre-coded. That's how it does that. It's pretty much coding saying, hey, look, it move. Engineer codes it where it says move your arms during this time frame in these locations, and at the end of the day, it's going to create one task. So if you're moving from here to here, you're grabbing something and moving from here. All this is hard coded. Now, with kind of AI solutions, it kind of is able to understand what it needs to do with AI, with the understanding of the physical realm, with the understanding of movement, with the understanding of coding. So even if it has never had that task coded before, it can use AI to design the code and be able to move the way you need it to. So that's the strength of AIs here in the robotic space in more of like a top level approach. Now, the second part of this video is I want to kind of talk why NVIDIA really doesn't care if AI gets cheaper, right? Because we saw that Gemma 3, you're able to run it in one H100 and it's actually doing some really great performance. So why isn't the market going to slow down in AI capacity? And luckily, Jensen has answered this question for us many quarters ago. And here we can hear what Jensen has to say about AI and his hopes and dreams.
Our hopes and dreams is that someday the world does a ton of inference, and that's when AI has really succeeded. You know, is when every single company is doing inference inside their companies for the marketing department and forecasting department and supply chain group and their legal department and engineering, of course, and coding, of course, and so we hope that every company is doing inference 24/7, and that there will be a whole bunch of AI native startups, thousands of AI native startups that are generating tokens and generating AI.
So we can see that Jensen really wants AI to be extremely cheap. So we're running it 24/7. And the main reason is because we want to be generating tokens and kind of generating AI nonstop. And Jensen also mentions that they are reducing the cost of inference and they're reducing the cost of AI so that it could be much more accessible. And in a recent conference, the CFO Colette mentions that in the past 2 years, they have decreased the cost of inference by about 200 times. And the reason they want generative AI to be running 24/7 is because generative AI is actually generating something. They're generating tokens. So Jensen here also mentions when we say generative AI, we're essentially saying that these data centers are really AI factories. They're generating something. Just like we generate electricity, we are now going to be generating AI. And if the numbers of customers is large, just as the number of consumers of electricity is large, these generators are going to be running 24/7. And AI, for those that are not familiar, when it does something, it kind of generates a token. That token is that response. So here's kind of a great example of what AI factories is. In the company presentation from February 27th, this was their latest earnings call. The company explained AI factories a little bit better. So AI factories are a new form of computing infrastructure. Their purpose is not to store users and company data or run ERP and CRM applications. AI factories are highly optimized systems purpose-built to process raw data, refine it into models, and produce tokens with great scale and efficiency. In the AI industrial revolution, data is the raw material. Tokens are the new commodity, and NVIDIA is the token generator in the AI factory. Every company will produce digital intelligence. Tokens will be transformed into intelligent responses and actions of digital nurses, tutors, customer service agents, chip designers, manufacturing robots, and autonomous cars. Some companies will build and operate AI factories while others will rent it. NVIDIA builds the complete AI system and licenses NVIDIA AI Enterprise, the AI stack and operating system for AI factories. And pretty much here you can see data going in. And AI factories are just a form of cloud infrastructure or computing infrastructure, but their whole purpose is to be generating tokens and nothing else. And this is why Jensen considers AI factory an AI industrial revolution. So if you continue to see kind of thoughts or bearish thesis that AI getting cheaper is a bearish thought for NVIDIA, that's actually their end goal. Their end goal is for AI to be so cheap that everybody and their mothers and fathers and kids and grandmothers are using AI nonstop, that we're going to need all these massive AI factories creating and generating these tokens. So again, if you want to learn more about the semiconductor industry, make sure to check out the link below or go to whatthechip.happened.com.